What happens when one of the most feared tank killers ever built suddenly reappears over open water, not hunting armor, but tearing through Iranian fast attack boats inside the most dangerous energy choke point on Earth? That is exactly what is unfolding right now. The A-10 Warthog, a war machine many Pentagon planners wanted retired, has returned to frontline combat in one of the most strategically explosive battles of this decade. Right now, it is circling above the paint-free Strait of Hormuz, tracking Iranian swarm boats, dismantling maritime harassment tactics, and helping reopen the artery that powers nearly 20% of the world's oil supply. This is no routine patrol. This is no side story buried beneath larger headlines. This is the unmistakable sound of escalation. A brutal new military phase has begun around Iran, and it is happening inside one of the most economically critical waterways on the planet. Every move here shakes oil prices, shipping routes, insurance markets, food supply chains, and the stability of global trade itself. And now the aircraft everyone thought belonged to another era is suddenly becoming one of the most effective weapons in this fight. So why bring back the Warthog now? Why use a Cold War legend in a modern maritime war? And what does this tell us about where the Iran conflict is heading next? Stay with A-10 BCC News, because this goes far beyond one aircraft. This is about energy security, global markets, naval warfare, and the crumbling limits of Iran's pressure strategy. If you want Chabisin Fine King the scores, deep, no-fluff geopolitical breakdowns that go beyond the mainstream headlines. Now, make sure you subscribe to BCC News, hit the bell icon, and stay ahead of the story. Now, let's break down the confirmed facts. On March 19, 2026, during a Pentagon press briefing, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Dan Caney confirmed what immediately became a global defense headline. The A-10 Warthog is actively hunting and destroying Iranian fast attack boats in the Strait of Hormuz. Those words were not symbolic. They were operational. A direct battlefield confirmation that one of America's oldest combat aircraft is now central to one of the most important maritime security campaigns in the world. But this story actually began days earlier. On March 15th, U.S. Central Command released powerful imagery showing A-10 Thunderbolt IIs receiving aerial refueling while supporting Operation Epic Fury. That detail matters. It goes to because it confirmed these aircraft were not simply passing through. They were chartered for saying loitering for extended missions, armed, fueled, and positioned for sustained combat operations. And that changes everything, because the A-10's greatest strength has never been speed. It is patience. Persistence, the ability to stay overhead for hours, visually track threats, and strike at exactly the right moment. That is precisely what this battlefield demands. Iran's strategy in Hormuz is not about winning a conventional naval war. It is about making the waterway too dangerous to use. The IRGC Navy has spent years refining sea and sea swarm warfare tactics and using dozens of small, fast, low-profile boats designed to overwhelm tankers, harass escorts, mine routes, and spike global shipping risk. Some carry explosives. Some are drone boats. Some are remotely piloted kamikaze-style unmanned vessels. Their mission is simple: make global trade panic. And for weeks it worked. After Operation Epic Fury launched on February 28, shipping traffic through the strait reportedly collapsed. Global energy markets went into shock. Insurance costs surged. Major shipping giants suspended transit. Oil prices exploded past $100 per barrel, then climbed even higher. The world suddenly realized how fragile this corridor really is. That is why the A-10 matters so much here, because against small, fast-moving boats hiding in maritime clutter, stealth is not the answer. Time on station is An F-35 can strike brilliantly, but an A-10 can wait, hunt, circle low, identify movement visually, and destroy swarm boats one by one with devastating precision. Hangio Wantor and Chiu O and Sing. That is where the legendary Gao-8 Avenger 30mm cannon becomes terrifying. This 7-barrel rotary cannon fires roughly Q enter Iowa 200 rounds per minute, turning lightly armored fast boats into shredded debris within seconds. And the weapons package gets even deadlier. The deployed A-10Cs have reportedly been seen carrying AGM-65 Maverick missiles, APKWS laser-guided rockets, AIM-9M sidewinders, the iconic 30mm cannon loadout. This gives the Warthog the ability to hit larger vessels at standoff range, wipe out swarm boats up close, and even defend against Iranian drones. That makes it one of the most versatile low-altitude maritime hunter-killer platforms currently in the fight. But here is the bigger story. This was not improvised. This role was quietly trained for years. Long before this crisis erupted, the U.S. military had already tested the A-10 in maritime interdiction and anti-swarm exercises, Shaki and Dind exercise across the Gulf. The playbook already existed. The mission profile was already validated. The Pentagon had spent years preparing for exactly this kind of IRGC harassment strategy. So when Iran attempted to weaponize the Strait, the response was already waiting. That response is now systematically dismantling the credibility of Iran's maritime pressure campaign. And that matters because Iran's real power in Hormuz has always been psychological leverage. It never needed permanent closure. It only needed the threat to remain believable. The moment those swarm boats start getting hunted down consistently, that leverage starts collapsing. And that is exactly what we are now seeing. U.S. forces have reportedly already destroyed Shafagini, Chui, Daindini, Nafin, Shui, Daidi, Dain, Yui, destroyed over 100 Iranian naval vessels, a staggering blow to a capability Iran spent years building. Every destroyed hull weakens Tehran's ability to threaten freedom of navigation. Every neutralized boat reduces insurance panic. Every cleared transit lane moves the global economy one step closer to normal flow. And now the irony is impossible to ignore. The aircraft the Pentagon wanted gone is becoming one of the most effective weapons in the campaign. For years, the Air Force pushed to retire the A-10. The F-35 was marketed as the future replacement. But this conflict is exposing a reality military planners can no longer ignore. There are still missions where nothing replaces persistent low-altitude firepower better than the Warthog. This is exactly why lawmakers blocked full retirement plans and preserved part of the fleet. Now, with live combat footage and battlefield validation in the world's most important oil choke point, the retirement debate may be permanently changed. But this is bigger than aircraft politics. This is about what happens when the global economy itself becomes a battlefield. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is not just water. It is energy, food, fertilizer, industrial metals, insurance flows, mortgage rates, consumer fuel prices, supply chain stability. When this corridor is threatened, everything from gas stations in North America to food imports in the Gulf feels the impact. That is why this campaign matters. This is not merely a military success story. This is a global economic stabilization operation. And the Warthog is now flying at the center of it. What makes this even more significant is what it reveals about Iran's strategic vulnerability. Iran's model depends on cheap disruption tools creating expensive global consequences. Fast boats are perfect for that. They are low cost, high risk for commerce, high impact for headlines. But once those boats become easy prey for persistent air patrols, the entire theory begins to fail. That is the real shift happening now. Not one dramatic moment, not one viral strike, but a slow, relentless dismantling of the threat architecture Iran built for years, loiter by loiter, pass by pass, boat by boat. The Warthog is stripping away the illusion that the Strait can remain hostage indefinitely. And that may become one of the defining military lessons of this conflict. A platform once seen as obsolete is now proving that in the right battle space, Horigino in same da Kri in Dengs Dech Old school survivability, endurance, and overwhelming cannon fire still matter more than pure stealth prestige. That is the story no one saw coming, and it may shape future naval air doctrine far beyond the Gulf. Because when geography becomes power, the side that can persist the longest often wins. Right now, that persistence is flying low over Hormuz with a titanium cockpit, unmatched loiter time, and one of the loudest cannons ever mounted on a combat aircraft. Iran spent years trying to turn this narrow strip of water into a weapon. Now, the same waterway is exposing just how fragile that strategy really was. Because when the response comes with patience, precision, and 4,200 rounds per minute, pressure turns into vulnerability. And the world is watching it happen in real time. If you want serious geopolitical analysis, military strategy breakdowns, and global conflict coverage that actually explains what's at stake, make sure you subscribe to BCC News, hit the notification bell, and share this with someone who follows global power shifts. Because this story is still unfolding. And on BCC News, we'll keep tracking every major move. Stay informed. Stay sharp. Stay ahead. Until then.